France is located in the west of Europe. In addition to the continental part, it also includes the island of Corsica. The country has a favorable geographical position. It is washed by the waters of the Atlantic Ocean in the west, the English Channel in the northwest and the Mediterranean Sea in the south. On the borders are the mountain systems of the Alps and the Pyrenees. In the north and east it borders the most developed countries in Europe. The area of France is 551.5 thousand square kilometers, of which 545.6 thousand square kilometers is land. The official name of the country is the French Republic. The capital is Paris. The population of Paris is 2.2 million people. The area of Greater Paris, with suburbs, is 1,700 square kilometers. The city is located on the Seine River, near its mouth, tributaries of the Marne and Oise. Paris has a mild, temperate maritime climate. The average temperature in January is 3.4 degrees Celsius, in July plus 18.8 degrees Celsius. Frosts last for 50 to 55 days. Precipitation falls up to 70 millimeters per year. Paris is located on the site of the settlement of the Gallic tribe of the Paracci, Lutetia, on the island of Site. In the 3rd–4th centuries AD it was called Parisia. Since 497 the city has been under the rule of the Franks. With the accession to the royal throne of the Coptonian dynasty, 987, Paris became the capital of the French kingdom. The city is the main economic center of the country. Within its borders, there are mechanical engineering enterprises, automotive, aircraft, electronic industries, well-established production of precision mechanics and optics devices, and military equipment. The main branches of technical industry are rubber, fine chemicals, pharmaceuticals, photographic materials, etc. Paris plays the role of an international trendsetter. Half of the country's banks and 80% of banking capital are concentrated in the city. Paris is the country's largest transport hub, international airports, Charles de Gaulle, Orly and Bourget, and there is a metro. Paris is one of the most picturesque cities in the world. The main architectural ensembles are Notre Dame Cathedral, 1163–1257, Sorbonne, 1629, Les Invalides, 1671–1676, Champs-Élysées, 1889, Pantheon, 1758–1790, Dover, 1546 mid-19th century, Champs-Élysées, 17th century, Place de Gaulle with the Arc de Triomphe, 1806–1837, Front Seine residential complex, since 1965, Main Montparnasse Business Center, 1964–1973, etc. France is a presidential parliamentary republic. According to the Constitution of the Fifth Republic, 1958, developed under the leadership of General Charles de Gaulle, 1890–1970, the president is the central political figure, heads the state and government and is elected for 7 years. Parliament has 2 chambers, the National Assembly, 577 deputies, and the Senate, 321 senators. Deputies of the National Assembly are elected by direct universal suffrage for 5 years, senators, by a college of voters for 9 years. Every 3 years, 1/3 of the Senate is renewed. The country is divided into 22 provinces, regions, and 96 departments, which, in turn, are divided into 327 arrondissements, 3,828 cantons and 36,551 communes. France, in addition to the island of Corsica in the Mediterranean Sea, also includes 4 overseas departments, Martinique, Guadeloupe, and the island of Réunion, French Guiana, and the overseas territories of French Polynesia, New Caledonia, Saint-Pierre and Miquelon, and numerous archipelagos in the Pacific Ocean. Borders. France borders Spain to the south, border length 623 kilometers, and Andorra, 60 kilometers, Monaco to the southeast, 4.4 kilometers, Belgium to the northeast, 620 kilometers, and Luxembourg, 73 kilometers, and Switzerland to the east, 573 kilometers. Italy, 488 kilometers, and Germany, 451 kilometers. The total length of the border is 2,892.4 kilometers, and the coastline is 3,427 kilometers. Participation in international organizations. France is a founding member of the UN, a member of over 50 international blocs and alliances, including NATO, since 1949, the EU, since 1957, the IAEA, the WHO, and others. The Schengen visa was introduced in the country on March 26, 1995. Natural conditions and resources. The country's favorable natural conditions and powerful resources have a positive impact on the development of the economy. Relief. The North French, Paris Basin, Garonne, Aquitaine, and Alsatian lowlands occupy 50% of the territory of France. The mountain system is represented by ancient smooth massifs of Hercynian folding, Central French Massif, Vosges and Ardennes, and young mountains of Alpine folding, Alps, Pyrenees and Jura. The Alps partially form the border of France with Italy and Switzerland, to Lake Geneva. The mountains are characterized by deep valleys and numerous glaciers. The highest peak in the country and in Europe as a whole is Mont Blanc, 4,807 meters. The Central Massif, located between the basins of the Loire, Garonne, and Rhône rivers, arose as a result of the destruction of the ancient Hercynian mountains. Climate. The temperate zone is characteristic of most of the country. In the south, the subtropical Mediterranean climate prevails. Almost the entire territory of France is favorable for life, and the climatic conditions of most of its territory are recreational. In the north of the country, the climate is mostly mild and humid, with strong winds. The average summer temperature is almost plus 17 degrees Celsius, and the winter temperature is 7 degrees Celsius. In the center of France, the climate is continental, sunny days prevail, and winter is generally not cold. Average January temperature is approximately 3.5 degrees Celsius. The climate is more severe in the mountains, Alps, Pyrenees, Massif Central, strong winds, significant precipitation, low winter temperatures. The Mediterranean coast is characterized by hot dry summers and humid warm winters. The mildest winter is in the eastern part of the French coast. The Riviera, average July temperature is plus 23 degrees Celsius, January plus 8 degrees Celsius. The average annual rainfall in most of the country reaches 600 to 1,000 millimeters. Rivers and lakes. Due to the large amount of precipitation and the specific relief, the river network in France is powerful. 4 large rivers flow through the country. The Loire, 1,012 kilometers. The Rhône, 812 kilometers. The Seine, 776 kilometers. And the Garonne, 647 kilometers. The Seine drains the Paris Basin and flows into the Atlantic Ocean near Le Havre. It is characterized by an even distribution of runoff throughout the year, which contributes to the development of shipping, and it is connected by canals to other rivers. The water level in the Loire fluctuates. It originates in the Massif Central, crosses the southern part of the Paris Basin and flows into the Atlantic Ocean near Nantes. Mineral resources. France has large reserves of ore minerals, in particular iron ore and bauxite. In terms of iron ore reserves, approximately 8.5 billion tons, the country ranks 5th in the world. It is the only European country that not only fully satisfies its needs for iron ore, but also exports it. Lorraine contains 3/4 of its iron ore reserves. Small deposits are also found in Normandy, Brittany, and the Central and Eastern Pyrenees. France ranks first in Europe in terms of bauxite reserves, 55 million tons. 3/4 of their deposits are concentrated between the Rhône Valley and the ancient regions of Provence, and 1/4 in the south of the country. Potash reserves, concentrated in southern Alsace, are estimated at 1.5 billion tons. Large deposits of uranium ores, basins, and brown coal deposits have been explored in the Massif Central. There are small reserves of mineral fuels, coking coal, anthracite and oil, 32.6 million tons. Significant natural gas resources. 255 billion m3, are concentrated in the southwest of the country, but the country is poor in oil, 32.6 million tons. Hydropower resources. The Alpine Mountains, due to their heights and sufficient rainfall, are important sources of water and energy and are used in the construction of hydroelectric power plants. Plant and animal resources. Almost no majestic forests have survived in France. Most of the plains have been plowed, and forest areas have been adapted to depleted soils. Forests occupy 27% of the country's area. The largest of them are in the Vosges, Jura, Northern Alps. Among coniferous forests, pines are the most common. In the north of the country, oak and beech forests predominate, sometimes with hornbeam, birch and alder. On the southwestern slopes of the Massif Central and on the island of Corsica, chestnut forests. The Mediterranean coast of France is mostly. Subscribe to my channel. If you like the content, write comments.